Tracking down terrorists no longer the CIA's only priority. The U.S. intel agency now investing in weather.
And then I got this thought, came to me like, hey, look at that. I bet you there's some idiot right now looking up going, well, golly, how dang beautiful sky that is.
The contrails, not the chemicals, the contrails occur because of cold air, minus 30. It takes high altitude, around 30,000 feet plus. There's carbon dioxide and water vapor in that exhaust. That turns to ice crystals, and that's what you see, the white stream behind it. Those white crystals of ice warm up, dissolve, and the smoke goes away. And it never lasts more than a minute. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal, they're not natural. There's something going on, I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal. It's got to be some outside influence doing that. Thank you.
Top secret CIA Weather Control Division, Dick speaking. I mean pizza store! Oh, it's you, Stan. What kind of favor?
Hi, I'm Dan McGuire. Here we are in Demers Center, Quebec, trying to grow vegetables while fighting the chemtrails.
It's a great illustration of how effective Hollywood is with their programming, and they were talking about a character who was a domestic terrorist, and they were profiling the guy. And they said, okay, let's give information, what kind of guy is this? And they said, well, he's an anti-American, he's really weird, and he believes in conspiracy theorists like chemtrails and water fluoridation. So and people that receive that into their subconscious, when they do hear the word chemtrail, a lot of times they'll say, oh, that's just conspiracy, and they won't look into that. And our message today, I think, is this merits further investigation, and it does need to be looked at because these things are very real.
What that would be called is the HERP array turned on.
Tell me that, normal cloud people? Come on now. Pick another one.
How many of you have heard about geoengineering or chemtrails?
Yeah.
How many of you have heard it's a crazy loon conspiracy theory? I just want to ask you guys one question. Do I look crazy to you? No. Did I?
Okay, just a question. Do you know what is a chemtrail?
So let's look at the word chemtrail. It's made up out of two words. The word chemicals and trails.
As we all know in the military that are classified, right?
Yep.
So even though I had a security clearance, it says a need-to-know basis. So when I started approving what is called an Air Force Form 3952, the approval of hazardous materials, and I started seeing barium, aluminum oxide, and strontium.
I have one question. That is, if it's all for the good, for the benefit of mankind, why does Mike find so many dirty elements like strontium?
I think they can manipulate the weather while they kill our food source and sell us seeds that'll grow in this contaminated rain.
How did Monsanto know to create aluminum-resistant plants? I don't think I've heard anybody ask that question.
Explain it. You gonna tell me this is condensation too? Huh?
This looks more like it. White stuff coming out of those 4 engines at higher altitude. This is it, right?
No, unfortunately not. What you see here are these so-called contrails. Contrails are, again, easy physics and are also made up out of two words, the word condensation and trail. And you have created contrails yourself before, trust me.
Aircraft making a condensation trail is very similar in many ways to when you go outside on a cold day and exhale. You create a condensation trail. That little cloud is a condensation trail. Now, if you take a 2-mile walk on a cold day and you can turn around and you can see your condensation trail tracking all the way back for 2 miles. That's how crazy it is to think that what we're looking in the sky is actually condensation trail.
But Joe, I've seen pictures of chemtrail on and off switches in the cockpit. So what's up with that?
That, my dear friends, is the work of a pilot with some creative Photoshop skills.
About the chemtrail generator. Oh. let's make sure that that thing's working. I'm going to check this out. I got it. 3.6. Oh, look at that. They're working. They're working. You can see the chemtrails coming out of the engines here. Look at that.
No,
I want to go on record there.
okay. No, but do you believe it? I don't know.
Well, I don't have enough information for that.
Okay. Yeah, but because I saw a lot of videos on the internet, and it really looks believable.
Well, it's arguable both ways, I think.
Yeah?
Depends on which side you're on, but...
Yeah. But what is your personal opinion of it?
I think there's part of truth.
Part of truth, yeah. Yeah, we should investigate this, because when it's true, imagine so many people, they suffer of this.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil.
After the conducting of stratospheric geoengineering. Stratospheric geoengineering actually affects the upper and lower atmosphere, but it's where they dump lots of particulates that are reflective into the sky. And what we get is what they call stratospheric geoengineering, which can alter the weather. It is climate change. Well, it's man-made climate change there, boy.
Those of you who may not be too privy to chemistry, you know that there's natural elements occurring in Earth. Aluminum is one of them. However, barium, radioactive, and strontium are not.
And let me explain to you what the opposition does. The people who are in charge of these programs spend a ton of money and a ton of effort to program us, and also to get us to look the other way and not to question things. So one of I think the most effective thing that they have done was call the chemtrail issue conspiracy. And what it does, when people hear the word chemtrail, they relate it to conspiracy, and they say, oh, that's just conspiracy. You know, we're not going to look at that.
As you can see here, the white substance is burning the leaves and killing our plants that we just put out. These plants, 24 hours ago before the rain, were perfectly green, perfectly healthy.
4 of the planes are out of Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Still, Oklahoma. I personally have observed the planes that were standing still in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Air National Guard. They have no markings on them. They're huge, bomber-like airplanes with no markings. This is a crime against humanity, a crime against America.
I'm a neurologist practicing in Reading for 17 years. And in the past 5 years, I've seen the number of patients with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, and other neurodegenerative diseases tremendously increased, almost quadruple.
Call it conspiracy, I think is the incorrect word. What I would call it would maybe be secret deployment of these programs.